Hi, it's Jennifer from Shabby Fabrics. I wanted to share with you the Your Words wall hanging for July. This has been a really fun series we've had at Shabby Fabrics for a while, but I wanted to encourage you, if you are interested in doing a fun beginner project that is really fast, fun to display, and it's obviously a great gift, this may be a perfect series for you. There's one for every single month, and they're all fitting on the same 12-inch hanger. So you only need one hanger, and you can change the project out each month. Each project will feature applique on the right and a different type of piece block on the left side. We join those together to make a cute wall hanging. So I'm going to jump right into it. The patterns will of course include instructions, full-size diagrams, both the tracing diagrams that are reversed for fusible applique, as well as an assembly diagram, which I love. A lot of patterns on the market today that are for fusible applique do have things reversed, but they don't necessarily have a layout diagram, and you're kind of on your own to try to figure out placement by looking at a picture, etc. So we try to make it as simple as possible. So step one for the applique side of the project would be to choose, say, Heat and Bond Light or your favorite fusible applique product. And I love using the light box here. We'll go ahead and get that turned on. This is the Daylight Wafer 3. It's the biggest product they have on the market, and as you can see, for a project like this, it's perfect. We'll go ahead and use the side that's tracing diagram because everything here is reversed. This is where you just directly trace around your shapes, and then you'll use your scissors to roughly cut around. Don't cut on the line just yet. And you'll repeat that for all of your letters and all of your shapes. And once that's complete, you'll select your fabrics. Of course, if you're using our kit, that will include all of the fabrics here. And by the way, if you're using our kit, all of these shapes on the right side are pre-fused and laser cut for you. You're simply peeling the paper off the back and ironing that down. That's what I did here for this particular strip. Once I opened up my kit and ironed that down, that took us 15 minutes. So that's really incredible. It's incredible time savings. I'm very busy. I know you're very busy too. And I have a lot of projects I want to do. So that's one of the things that we think is one of the coolest parts about laser cut is it's the time savings. You can jump right into the fun. So if you're not though using the laser cut kit, as I said, you'll be tracing, cutting around each shape, ironing that to the back side of the fabric, and then you'll be cutting out precisely on the line. The pattern will have you cutting your background to fit exactly, your background fabric to exactly inside this footprint here, and then you'll be using your light box and potentially an applique pressing sheet to lay everything out. For now, go ahead and put that side aside, and I would encourage you to not trim down your background yet. The pattern has you cutting your background to bigger than it needs to be. You go ahead and applique everything down and then later trim up. Actually hold off on that step, and I'll tell you why a little bit later on. Well, actually I'll tell you that now. I have found sometimes when I do piecing that my block doesn't come out to be exactly the size it was supposed to be. I'm sure this has happened to you before. These blocks of course are supposed to come out to be a specific size, but let's say that yours are just maybe slightly under that or maybe slightly over that. That's why I encourage you to wait to trim your applique until you've pieced together these blocks, and then you go ahead and trim the applique unit to be whatever size that assembled piece unit is. So let's jump right into the pieced unit. It actually starts off with a pinwheel, and you can probably see that. We're calling this a beach ball block, but it starts off with a standard pinwheel. For each of those, you'll be using 2 whites and 2 colored fabrics, and you'll be using 4 small squares for each block, and that's what turns the pinwheel into the beach ball. So we have put together a white and the pink right sides together. We drew the line corner to corner and sewed on either side of that and cut on the line, and that's where we get the 2 half square triangles. That's when we will then lay those half square triangles out, and I always have to kind of realign myself to make sure I put them together properly, and I do that, by the way. I have definitely sewn pinwheels together wrong, so I encourage you to kind of just keep checking back to your pattern to make sure you have them laid out correctly. And you'll be laying out all 4 of those so that you'll have, because each one will make 2, and then you'll use the other, the pink and the white, to make 2 more. And that's where you'll get the 2 halves here. When you sew these together, by the way, I'm going to show you what that looks like. We encourage you to press that seam open. Otherwise, you'd have a lot of bulk either to one side or the other. So just to distribute that bulk evenly, that's a good time to go ahead and press those seams open. So we've done that. I'll put these aside for now. And we have our 2 halves. Now, of course, the goal of any pinwheels, we want all of that to come together to our, well, here's one that's a little bit further along. We want that to come together perfectly. One of the ways you can assure that happens is good pinning. And I'm using the Clover patchwork pins here, but where I pin them is as important as the type of pin I'm using. So of course, naturally, I am looking to make sure that those 2 pressed open seams are sitting right on top of each other. But I also have another alignment here as well. This seam is going this direction. This seam is going the opposite direction, and I can feel them lock into each other. That's another fantastic place to use an additional pin. And I might even start there. I'm going to go right down here, and I'm going to check that's coming up on the back side right along that same seam. And I might even just do a quick visual check, because I want that coming right up in that saddle, right up in here. And I'm going to rock that pin to be along this seam as well. Okay, so I have learned pinwheels can get off. If you're off just a little bit, it's really noticeable. And I end up seam repping, and yes, through trial and error, I end up eventually getting a good one. But I've now discovered that if I do some good pinning ahead of time, I'm more likely on the first shot to get those to come together. So let's just take another look at that. Let's go ahead and take that to the sewing machine, and we are going to sew our pinwheel, and let's see if our pinning has paid off and is going to give us some nice points. I'm using a 50 weight cotton. This is a nice neutral piecing thread that just gives fantastic results. Okay, let's see how we did here. Let's see if our pinning has paid off. Notice I used a starter strip. Sometimes I just find it helpful to get the machine going, and that's just a scrap piece of fabric. And I just kind of get the machine going and feed the fabric in right after it. I probably got into that habit when I was sewing triangles, because of course when the fabric comes together at a point, it tends to kind of want to dive into the feed dogs. And I've had problems with it, just kind of even with the best of machines. Obviously sewing with a fabulous top-of-the-line machine here. This is the BERNINA 770 Quilter's Edition, one of the best quilting machines on the market. But still, it's just a good habit because any machine can have that tendency. So let's see how we did. I think we did really well. I think that paid off. And let's go ahead and set that seam, and we're going to press that seam open. Again, if we press the seam to one side or the other, it would create an uneven amount of bulk to one side, and the blocks might be a little bit lopsided actually and not lay as flat as they could. So that's our pinwheel block. Now with those 4 pieces of the background fabric, you'll simply use a marking tool and draw corner to corner just like we've done here and sewn on the line. I just double check and make sure before I trim anything away, everything sewed exactly as expected, and it looks like it did. So now, same as before, we'll just set our seams and press to the outside, excuse me. Set that seam, finger press. I always like to just press it out there, make sure my block is good and square, and then I like to lift that flap up. Sometimes I'll just trim it away and then press away, or if I want to just double check everything looks good, my block is squared up, then you just kind of move that flap back and you'll trim away all around all four sides. I love this little ruler, little 2.5 by 6.5. It's perfect for things like this, or maybe you're at a cool retreat and you have limited space. These little rulers are just invaluable. And then let's just press that all to the outside one more time. How fun is that? So you took a standard pinwheel block, added 4 small squares in the corner, and now you have a beach ball block. You'll just do one of those for each of the colors and sew those all together. That's when I want you to go ahead and measure how long that is. That's what you'll trim your applique unit to. You'll join those up, and then you would quilt that and bind that as you would any other project. So I hope you enjoyed learning that while this might look complicated, it's super easy and a lot of fun. So I look forward to seeing you on our next video.